Hey, welcome back to the Blender 3 Docwalk. This document is node editing. All right, we're going to jump right into geometry nodes here. As always, pull it up, hit new, and we're going to scoot these guys. Well, let's just bring them to the center. All right, so transforming nodes, it works exactly, well, almost exactly the same way you transform objects in your 3D viewport. For example, with the cube, to move it, you hit G for grab, and you can move it wherever you want. Left click to drop it. R, hitting R is rotate. You do whatever you like, and then left click to drop it. And S is for size. Okay, all right. Same thing goes for your nodes. When you're talking about a single node, hitting R doesn't do much. And notice where the center of my node is calculated. Remember last video I was explaining, why center for the node alignment, right? Aligning your nodes and laying them out. Well, I guess what I'm saying is you can see here that my rotation marker here is pointing to the upper left-hand corner of the node. So that should just go to show that, right, the upper left-hand corner of your node is considered kind of the center of your node, or the anchor point of your node. Okay, so that aside, yeah, rotating a single node does nothing for you. You want to do a rotation on a group of nodes if you want to rotate nodes. So I've got both nodes selected. I hit R, and you can see that I can cause them to rotate around each other, and I can position them however I like. Size does not change the size of your node. So if I hit S, I can change kind of the distance between the nodes. So let's do this. Let's pull it more center. Hit S, and you can see I'm changing kind of the size of it there. And so if I add a bunch of nodes, doesn't matter what, just drop nodes all over the place. That works too. Hit R, they're all going to rotate around the calculated center. Again, calculated from the upper left-hand corner of each node. S is going to spread them out. And G is grab, and I can move them wherever I like. Okay, so that is node transformation. Let's jump over to the next topic. Okay, now if you do want to resize the actual node, the node itself, you can resize it by dragging the edges right or left. You can't change the height because the height really is dictated by the elements within it. But you can change the width by simply grabbing either right or left side and dragging it. And lastly, this is a terrible display of how you should arrange your nodes. It is generally recommended that you arrange your nodes such that the flow moves from left to right. Given that all of your output nodes are on the right and input nodes are on the left, it is recommended that you maintain that flow in how you arrange your nodes. So this is a much more acceptable arrangement here. All right, let's talk about connecting sockets. Let me get rid of these center nodes here. And I'm going to bring these two guys a little closer together. Okay, now to connect your nodes, you link them up by left clicking and dragging, and then dropping it down on onto the input socket. You can actually have multiple output socket links. So if I grab from this socket again, drop it on the next one, I can continue to do this as many times as I like. So, but even though output sockets can support multiple outgoing links, input sockets only support one incoming link, except for the sockets as we've talked about previously. Let me just pull it up. It is a geometry merge node. Where is it? Join geometry. Okay. In this case, where the incoming socket, the input socket, is elongated, this is the only exception. Okay, we can provide as many inputs as we would like. Okay, now if I want to move my output socket, typically for the input sockets, I can just grab it and then move it wherever I'd like. Okay, for the output sockets, I have to hit Control first. So I hit Control, hold it down, left click, and then I can drag that cluster to wherever I want it to go next. Okay, and as we've talked about previously, any node without any connections, input or output connections, if you simply drop it onto, let's see, if you simply drop it onto a link, see how as I'm hovering over the links, they're highlighting. So first one, second one, third one, they highlight as I'm hovering over different links. Using that as a guide, I can then drop it onto the link I want to insert the node into. So let's say I want to insert it here. I just click it and it will go ahead and self-insert. And then of course you're going to want to rearrange to make it look a little bit more readable. All right, now let's talk about make links. So I'm going to get rid of these two guys. Whoops. And let's do that. I've got some vestigial geometry sockets going on there. Okay, I'm going to duplicate these guys a couple of times. Maybe this wasn't the best idea. Oh well, whatever. Okay, so let's duplicate them a few times here. All right, now if I want to make links across any two nodes, if I just select the two and hit F, it will automatically instantiate the necessary links. There we go. Now notice if I continue to hit F, it will continue to fill these up. So F, F, F. Okay. Now I can continue to do this. All right. Okay. Now if I want to create a link from, let's say, this node down to this guy here, I'm going to hold Shift down and click, left click to select both of them. If I hit F, nothing's going to happen. See, nothing's happening. I'm not creating any new links. That's why in this case, you're going to want to use make and replace, which is Shift F, not just F. So Shift F. Now I believe you can only do this once. In this case, it's not going to, duplicate or replace all of the links that we've got, hooked up to here. I think. Let's do Shift F. Yeah. So it only does it once, but for the majority of your cases, that's not going to be an issue. All right, now to disconnect single links, all you have to do is grab the link from the input socket, not the output socket, the input socket, and just drag it away and release it in the middle of nowhere. Just plunk. Okay, link gone. Now this is cool. This is muting links. How you do this is holding Control and Alt down at the same time. Control Alt, got them down. Now I'm going to hold my right mouse button down, not my left mouse button, my right mouse button. And I'm going to drag it across the link I want to mute. So right mouse button down, drag it across. You see that little line? That's going to mute that particular link, like that. Now you'll notice a muted link is red with a little kind of hash mark across the link. So if I wanted to mute all of these, Control Alt, right mouse button, drag, mute. Everything's muted. I accidentally also unmuted the link that I originally muted, so just be aware of that. Now what muting actually does is it, for most practical purposes, it disconnects the link without actually disconnecting the link, leaving the actual link there, disconnecting the data throughput. All right, now for links connected to reroute nodes, let me introduce you to a reroute node. Let's drop a couple of, let's just do this. There's a Boolean, and let's see here. Sure. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to drag this. Now it's whatever. So now what I'm going to do is do my usual Shift-A to bring up my add menu. And if we go all the way to the bottom at layout, we have two options, frame and reroute. Reroute isn't a typical node. Let me show you why. Now you see I've kind of got this little dot following me around. I'm just going to drop it right here. This is a reroute node. I'm going to grab my output here, stick it to the reroute, and now I can reroute from there a few times like that. Okay, that's your reroute node. The reason I'm bringing this up right now is because when you mute one end of it, so Control Alt right click drag, is going to mute the other two routes of the link. Now, if I mute this guy here, it's just going to mute that rerouted link. Okay, if I mute the second one, now it's going to mute all of it. It's the whole node, or the whole reroute has been muted. So having done that, now if I go back over here and unmute that, it's going to unmute the entire reroute network there. Okay, now for cutting links, we simply want to hold down Control, and just like muting links, right? We're going to use the right mouse button for this. So I'm holding down Control, not Control Alt, just Control, and then I'm going to perform the same or a similar procedure by holding Control down, holding right mouse button down, and then dragging across the link I want to remove. And there we go, it's gone. Now detaching links from any particular node, if I select a node and I want all the links to be detached fully from that node, what I'm going to do here is Alt D. So hold Alt down, tap D, and it's going to remove all of the nodes. Be aware that I am now in the middle of a grab. So if I move my mouse around, I will also move my node around. See? So just be aware that when you perform, when you cut links in this manner, you will go right into a grab. Okay, let's show that again. Alt D. I have gone right into a grab. Okay. Now, another way to remove all of the links from any one particular node is, well, all I'm going to do is hold Alt down and use my left mouse button to basically click and drag. So holding Alt down, I'm going to click and drag, and I'm basically, pulling it away from all the links kind of idea. So holding Alt down, show it again, hold Alt down, left mouse button, click, and drag. All right, now as far as duplicating nodes, we've gone over this multiple times previously, but just to go over it one more time, to duplicate a node is Shift D. So again, all I have to do is have a node selected or a group of nodes selected, and by holding Shift down, tapping D, I have duplicated them and gone into a grab. So now I have all four duplicated. I can move them wherever I like, and then just click to drop them. Now the document does warn that it is occasionally fairly easy to accidentally duplicate something, or to not be completely sure whether or not you've duplicated something. And say you've done something like I just did, and I'm not sure if I actually did duplicate it. You're going to want to make sure that, whether or not it was duplicated. So just simply grab it and just move it just to double check, so you're not linking up the wrong node to the wrong node. So that's just kind of a little cautionary statement they put in the documentation. All right, now copy and pasting is just like with almost anything else. It's just Control C and Control V. So select, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Again, just like with duplicating, you're going to want to make sure it's going to paste it exactly where the old one is. So make sure you move it right away so you don't get confused or accidentally start using the wrong node or whatever. Now, you can also, when you duplicate or copy and paste anything that already has been linked up, for example, these two guys over here, I'm going to duplicate them, Shift D. You'll notice that the link also was duplicated. Same with copy and paste. Control C, Control V, move them. Okay, so anytime you copy and paste or duplicate anything that has already been linked, you're also copying and pasting the links between the two of them. So let's get rid of some of these guys. Got kind of a lot of stuff going on here. Let's make it easy. Okay, now as far as delete goes, I'm sure we've talked about this multiple times, but just to reiterate it, I'm just going to copy these guys, duplicate them actually. Okay, delete is either the delete button, like that, just tapping delete, or the X button, X, bye-bye. However, there is one more delete option, which we are going to show now. Shift A to bring up my add menu here. It doesn't matter what. Let's just grab some. It does matter what. Need something with input, output. There we go. Now I'm just going to drop it here. Okay, now if I want to delete this guy here, okay, but I want to keep the link. I want to keep the link between the output and the input nodes. If I hit X, I am simply just going to delete it, and I am going to also lose my links. So, undo. By the way, undo is Control Z. Bet you probably already knew that. Just in case, there you go. Undo is Control Z. All right, if I want to delete and keep that link, so the link maintains, it's Control Z. Wow, that didn't, hold on a second. Okay, that didn't work. Oh, my bad. That didn't work because this is a bad link. We're going to have to find something that has a good geometry in and out. Let's see here. Let's do go to geometry. That's our, there we go. Okay, drop it in there. We've got an input and output. I select it. I want to get rid of that node. So Control X, and you can see it has maintained the link. Okay, so let's bring back, let's see here. Okay, we're going to bring back join geometry here, and let's talk about muting a node. Let's say I want to keep this here for whatever reason. I just want to mute it temporarily instead of disconnecting the links or deleting it and then inserting it. If you hit M, it will simply mute that node, like so. Now, keep in mind that only the nodes which are contributing from the output to the input of your node tree to the process of the information throughout the node tree can be muted. So, like for instance, these two guys, this guy, if I hit M, nothing's going to happen. This guy, if I hit M, nothing's going to happen. But because they are not, do you get what I'm saying? They're not in the midst of the node tree. They're not altering and changing information. So yeah, another thing, if I have multiple nodes selected, let's just select all of them, and I hit M, the only node that is going to be muted are the nodes that can be muted, like that. Okay, so let's quickly talk about different ways to show and hide different aspects. Earlier we talked about tapping H to collapse the node. Not in this video, in a much earlier video, but yeah, if I select a node and hit H, I'm going to collapse it. H, collapse. H, collapse. Great. So that is collapse. Now I can do Control H, which collapses all of the unused sockets. So you can see here, I'm going to open them all up really quickly, and you'll see that these are all unused. Okay, this is unused over here. If I hit Control H with them open, it's going to collapse all of the unused sockets, and that reflects, if I hit just H to collapse the node, it reflects what sockets can be viewed when the entire node is collapsed. And again, Control H is collapse unused sockets, and H is collapse the node. There is one more thing that we can do. If you remember in a previous video, let me grab these guys and get them out of the way. Let's get in color input. Okay. So if I come back up here to node and go down to toggle node options, you'll see that all of my inherent options within the color node has been collapsed. Okay, that works with just about anything, anything that has any sort of intrinsic properties or widgets or anything like that. If you toggle node options, it will just collapse everything that is usable within that node. And then this last option here, collapse and hide unused sockets. If I click this, it will actually perform hide and toggle hidden node sockets. So let's select these guys. Let's just get everything, why not? And I'll go down and hit that, and you'll see what happens here. There you go. So not only did are my nodes fully collapsed, but I don't see any unused sockets. Again, if I want to get them back, I can hit H and Control H. There we go. Okay, now there's one more toggle. We're gonna have to jump over to compositing for this one. And let's see here. Up. Turn on use node. And you'll notice this first guy here has image out, right? So I'm going, whoops, come here, guy. Okay, delete that one. And let's see. I'm going to bring in an image. Open. And let's just grab a random image from a download, whatnot. Okay, let's picture my little brother. All right. Now, there's one more thing we can toggle. This is, if I pull this over here, okay, I'm going to do Shift H. And you'll see that removes the preview image. So we have multiple different types of toggles, right? We can collapse unused sockets. We can collapse the node itself. We can collapse or toggle the right, all of our node options here, and we can collapse the preview image with Shift H. There you go, Shift H. All right. This document does talk about read render layers. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of possibly a little too deep, but there's the shortcut Control R, which is read render layers. This only works in the compositor. Let's see. And for it to work, you need to have cache results. This guy selected cache results. What this does is it caches your renders to the hard drive instead of to RAM. So read render layers retrieves that information from a hard drive cache instead of from sticking it in RAM. Now, typically retrieving things from RAM is much faster. However, renders can get really large, and if you're dealing with a really complex project with 4K renders, saving everything to RAM can become extremely expensive, and just it will actually start to slow your system down instead of speeding it up. So turning on cache results will help save RAM. So read render layers, this needs to be on, but as it is on, I have not rendered anything, but Control R would read my render layers. This can be used to recover information that has been corrupted. So yeah, Control R, you should see, well, let's see. We should see a little, maybe not. Here, I'll try it. Control R, a little compositing. Oh yeah, it just blinks in and out of existence there. But what Control R does is it will read all of the scene's rendered layers from cache as they are needed. Alright, that is it for node editing. I will see you guys next time when we go over the nodes sidebar.